Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back at our Wednesday Night Favorites show, which I do every week. Just basically it's a top 10, a top 25, maybe it's a ranking, but it's some kind of list show. And I find these are the most popular of the shows. People love these things. And I can understand why. I like doing them, so I imagine they like watching those kind of things. So anyways, we're back here, and the one we're doing today is part B. So of my favorite album covers. And so in this case, I guess it's my favorite 25 more album covers. Since I already did a top 25. So this, for those people who like things in an order, and I tend to be that way, this would be like 26 to 50. But I'm just going to refer to them as top 25 for this episode, but that's pretty much what it is. They're not really in any real kind of order here, except for they're alphabetical. And I did manage this time to put them A to Z instead of backwards and upside down like I normally do, because that's just the way it works out. I pick them out alphabetically, and then they're piled backwards. But in this case, they're piled frontwards, and we're going to go ahead with that. So these are just 25 more albums that I really like the artwork for. Now I want to make sure that some people are saying, well, what about this album and what about that album? If it's not on here, it's because I either don't own it or it may not make the list for me, quite make the list, but I still like a lot of albums that aren't going to be on this list for those reasons. One of the main reason is that because this particular episode is about the art of it, it has to be a visual one. So if I don't own the album, I can't show it to you. However, I do, there are several of these albums that if I owned, they would probably be on the list, but because I don't own them, I can't show them. So I stuck with ones that give me a visual. Not that any of these are bad, these are all really good things. I like them all quite a bit. I decided to do a 2-episode part because there are just so many great album covers out there. And this list is a little bit more about the album covers. The last list had, great album covers, but a lot of those albums also had, were great albums. Some of these not such great albums, but still love the covers anyways. Okay, so enough of my job owning. Time to get to the album. So we're going to start off with the letter A, with the band who, this band I've had periods during the length of my time listening to them where I really like them, other periods where I don't really like them. And when I say periods, personal periods, but there's also, I like their 70s stuff a lot and some of their 80s stuff, but not any of the stuff that came out after that, or mostly none of it anyways. So we're going to talk about this band today. There it is. Oh yeah, here we go. It's that lighting. It's because it's kind of a dull day outside. I'm getting not such great lighting here. Yeah, this is Aerosmith's Draw the Line. Just give me a sec. I'm going to try something here. My apologies. Sometimes that natural lighting just doesn't work. And in this case it wasn't. So anyways, this is Draw the Line by Aerosmith. And the reason I like this album is for the penciled artwork here. The guy who did the kind of caricatures of the group members, I think he did a great job capturing their images. This is a fantastic album cover. The album itself is not one of my favorite Aerosmith albums, especially among the earlier ones. I think it's a little on the weak side, but it's not a bad album. Just not a great album. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, we're going to go to another band that I really like a lot, and this particular album I love. I know this wouldn't be somebody's particularly favorite album cover, but it really strongly illustrates that BTO symbol in the middle there. And with the Bachmann turnover drive, you can see it quite clearly here. It's good. I've always liked this kind of emblem that they use with the little Canadian maple leaf there beside the O, four-wheel drive. And then you have on the inside of this album as well, you have a kind of a, here where you get a picture of all four of them. That's really kind of tastefully. You see each of them at their, that was a common thing too that they did. And the most notable one is from that first Van Halen album where they had all four of them on the back like that. It was great. So the next one, number 3, is an album that somebody mentioned in the comments on the first collection of my favorite album covers, and asked me why this one wasn't included. And it's just because I like the other one by this band more, so I didn't want to have 2 from the same band. However, this is a great cover, really detailed, it really gives the flavor of this album quite well. I think Black Sabbath, The Mob Rules. You also have this brick thing on the back, which gives a continuation of the wall of the building, right? Yeah, fantastic. Really like this album a lot. Number 3, Black Sabbath, The Mob Rules. So number 4, another group that I had one in my first. This one could have gone first too, but I just think the other album cover is just a little bit better. This one's another pencil. You'll find with me, I like those pencil detailed drawings that people do. My daughter is exceptionally gifted in this area. Yeah, she can draw with such detail people's faces. It's just unbelievable. And so I've come to appreciate the art of penciling, and this album has a great deal of that. That Messerschmitt 262 there, the world's first jet. The Nazi Germans developed back in World War II, but never really got it off the ground too far before they lost the war. But such a great picture, and here's a photo of the same thing. I just think the pencil part looks so good. So good. And then you have the back part where you have a picture of the jet sitting on a liner there. Yeah, great album. This is a fantastic album too. It's not just the artwork, but the artwork is great. Okay, number 5 is a band that I've come to like quite a bit. I like the music on this album quite a bit, actually a lot, and I really like the penciled art here again, and I think that's what this is. Penciled art. You're going to see a lot of that, and this is a great rendition of Mount Rushmore, although there's an extra head. I'd have to go look. I think the head in the far, that's the lowest on the far, right side of the thing, I think that's the one they added in, because I think the other 4 are just kind of put in place where the original 4 are. Anyways, fantastic. Another shot of it on the back. This is a great album with great artwork on the cover. So number 6 up is maybe a little bit different. This is more of a painting. There's a little bit of a cheesiness to the album cover in some ways. However, it captures the image of this debut album by Ronnie James Dio. This is Holy Diver. You know, I really like the top part of the drawing with the demon with the chain. That's the part I like the most, and the skies behind it really captures it. You get a little bit of that feel at the back too from the back part. I don't know. Yeah, this might be a view of it. Yeah, not a bad, pretty memorable album cover as well. The next album, which would be number 7, comes from a band I haven't listened to a ton, and this particular album I'm not enthralled with at all, but the album cover really captures the image I think they're trying to portray here, and it does capture that kind of futuristic look to the world, and that's The Astonishing by Dream Theater. Not a great album on the whole, but some fantastic artwork on this whole thing here, you know, trying to capture the image of the future. Okay, so number 8, I almost didn't include this because I had a few too many. I thought I had 3 too many, and then I was going to take this one out, and then I recounted it and found out that I had one, only too many, so I kept this one. This is Eloy's Colors. Such a detailed drawing part to it. I think that's all this is just a painting, but just such a fantastic one. And you have that little part on the inside that looks really good too. They're always very colorful in their album covers, Eloy. This one more so because it's called Colors. So, and this is a great album as well. Maybe their best album. So next up we have number 9 from a group that I've long liked. This album doesn't really fall in the range of the albums that are the earlier albums that I love quite a bit, but I still like this album, and I really like the colorful art and the overall feel of this album. And we're talking about Genesis. I guess it's just called their self-titled album, which was came out, God, that's a long time ago now, maybe in the early 80s, right after Duke. But this is a good album cover. It just captures the album very well, I think. Next up is number 10. A bit of a psychedelic album. I've always kind of liked this one. Capturing a lot of imagery here. The inside and the back part don't really capture the same thing, but the album itself, the cover is really good. Very psychedelic, I think, capturing the age in which this album came out in the late 60s. Just a fantastic cover. Always liked this album cover a lot. Tried to find it as a poster as well. So there you go. Jimi Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love from 1968. That's number 10. Now the next one up is number 11. One of my favorite heavy metal albums of all time. Definitely was my big one for this group. This is the album that brought this group to me, and I still like this cover a lot. It really, to me, epitomizes this group. We're talking about Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. Such a great album cover. And and even the disc is got the same kind of thing on it. Yeah, fantastic album as well. The music and the album cover, among the best ever, I think. That was number 11. Number 12 is a band a little more obscure. There are people in the prog community who know this album fairly well, but for those people who don't know this album, this is a progressive rock band called the Jade Warrior. The album itself is called The Last... We'll need my glasses. Where did I put them? Oh, here they are. I moved them over. Forgot to put them back where I had them while I was doing stuff. And these are new, so hopefully they work. Yeah, The Last Autumn's Dream. This album's currently in my playlist. It's got such a great cover. So detailed, the art. Very reminiscent art of that period in history of the Chinese emperors, and very oriental in its appearance. Such a great album though. So many different sounds to it. A lot of folky stuff, but a lot of kind of oddly poppy kind of upbeat stuff, which surprised me. But anyways, the album artwork on this album is so detailed and so good. So there you go, Jade Warriors, The Last Autumn's Dream. And that is number 12. So number 13, this is an album that I haven't even opened it yet. I'm not a huge fan of these guys. I've tried to be, and I'm still working on it. Maybe eventually it'll penetrate my thick skull here. But the artwork on their albums is fantastic, and this one is no exception. The Point of No Return by Kansas. So well illustrated, the title, with that boat right at the precipice of when it's going over the falls. It's already reached that point where there's no going back, and you know that that's the case just by where the boat is. But such good artwork, Sorry, it's a little reflective because it's not even out of its packaging yet. It's a brand new album. Yeah, eventually I'll get to it. Yeah, like that a lot. Number 13. Number 14 comes from, this was the first album that I ever owned. Also the first, it was drawn, 100% drawn to by the cover, which is so awesomely dark with these characters on it that are just unbelievable. I never seen anything like this up at that point. Like they were almost like superheroes to me in some ways. The album cover is fantastic. The album is better than the album cover. You got some great stuff on this album. For those of you who like this band, you'll know exactly how I feel. For those of you who hate this band, you'll know exactly how I feel. Yeah, just such a great cover, and I remember this concert and everything, the way they set it up. And you can say what you want about this being a live or not live album. The cover is fantastic and the music is super. So that's number 14, Kisses Alive. Number 15 comes from I like this album because every time I look at it, I see different things on the cover that I didn't know or didn't understand what it was. And it's always been my favorite cover by the album, by the band Led Zeppelin 3. Yeah, not a huge fan of Led Zeppelin's covers on the whole. There's a nice shot of the boys in there too as well. But basically this cover is this album is a lot more acoustic in nature. It's a lot quieter an album than most of their stuff. It's also my favorite Zeppelin album. But I really like a lot of these little intricate things that they got on here, like this little kite here, and there's a cow here, and a butterfly, and just all kinds of different stuff. I really like these set of teeth smiling here. I don't know why, but I just do. And so a great album produced by, of course, Jimmy Page. Yeah, a lot of great stuff on here. This has been my favorite Zeppelin album for some time. For those of you who want, I have done a ranking on my favorites for Led Zeppelin as well. If you're interested in looking at that, you can go back and see it. Anyways, great album. So that's number 15. Now we're going to move on to the top 10, or not really the top 10, but the last 10, I guess. I've always kind of liked this album because it's clearly an artistic impersonation, but the detail of the bar and the chairs and the men, the way they've highlighted the men so that they stand out, especially the main character at the end of the bar. You can see the hostility in everybody's eyes. And this is another reminiscent art of this group. This is Clutching at Straws by Marillion. Look at the detail on that bar area. That is so detailed. The album is great too. Probably my favorite Marillion album. Just so good. And such good detailed art. I like that quite a bit. So that's number 16. Number 17 is Nazareth's Hair of the Dog. You gotta like that. Look at the dogs at the end of this bat-like structure. I don't even know if those are dogs. They might be bats. I'm not sure, but there's 3 or 4 of them though. And then you've got this bat-like structure here. And even on the back, it's kind of an alien atmosphere. You'll see those kind of trees with whatever is growing on them. I don't even know if they're trees. They might be just stumps. Yeah, such a classic album with such good music. This is really good music on this album. Matches this quite a bit. So that's number 16. Number 17. Actually, that may have been number 18. No, it was number 17. I'm actually missing one, so I might have to add one of the ones I took out, put it back in. Apparently, I'm not really good at counting when it comes to this thing. So anyways, the next album out comes from Nectar and their Time Machine. Not the greatest of their albums by far, but the album cover is fantastic. It's so otherworldly, all so alien looking, and you got this landscape on the back. So good. Just such a great album cover. Just so detailed as well. Very science-y, fiction-like. Okay, so number 19 comes from this band, Riverside. I like their kind of modern kind of art, using color and stuff to capture images. Very good. Throughout their whole album it's like that. Even the booklet inside is fantastic that way. But the album cover itself really lends itself to me. And if you open up the whole book, you can see how it fits into the landscape. Music is really good too. Very strong. It has some later era Rush sounds to it throughout the album too, especially in the guitar area. Really great album. So that's number 19. Number 20. Yep, number 20. So maybe I am right. I was right. I just didn't have my numbers right. Is Rush's Test for Echo. Speaking of which, I always liked the album cover, that stark Canadian landscape with those rocks piled in the way that they are. And loving this kind of extraterrestrial thing going on here. The album itself is pretty heavy. Not a great album by them, but a good one. Probably has my latter day Rush favorite song, Test for Echo, on here, which is the title track. Really great. So there it is. That was number 20. So I was on track. I just count it wrong. I just reiterate it wrong. So the next one up comes from a band that I've long liked. They're one of my favorite bands. I don't even know why I'm still wearing these. That's why I'm having a hard time. So this is Equinox, or Equinix if you prefer, from Styx. I like the contrast of the ice on fire here. It's always captured a kind of image feeling for me. Maybe Icelandic, I don't know. And then you have this closer up view of it on the back, which is great. This album is very strong. It's a pre-Tommy Shaw album, but probably their best pre-Tommy Shaw album, although some of their older stuff on the Wooden Nickel album is really great. Unfortunately for Wooden Nickel, they didn't really promote them well, or I think that band would have had, we would instead have been talking about the 5 or 6 great albums by Styx, we'd be talking about the 9 or 10 great albums from Styx, because those first 4 albums, a couple of them are very, very strong albums. This one is fantastic too. That was number 21. Number 22 comes from a band that I did do one previous to this that I liked quite a bit. This one I've always kind of liked. It's got that kind of space atmosphere to it. But the bars just always make me feel like we're trapped here on Earth. That's what they're saying. And then you have all these guys in their kind of, the group members in their kind of kimono looking at the stars, right? Not kimono, I can't think of what it's called, but you know what I'm getting at anyways. So there you go, Crime of the Century, Supertramp. That was number 22. Number 23 comes from maybe an unlikely source here for artwork, but I've always kind of liked this kind of art. It's very violent. Every single cross frame on it is got that violent aspect to it. The one that always stands out is the guy getting punched in the face and everybody's watching, Isn't that so true in the world? Somebody gets punched out, everybody want to watch. And he got this one here, which is the back part of the album where the guy is about to be put into a meat grinder. It's I know I'm laughing, and it's not really something that's funny, but it's a different kind of cover, especially for these guys. It doesn't really fit really into their discography as far as covers, nor does the album really sound as much like Van Halen as the other albums. But it's my favorite, and I love the cover and I love the album. Fantastic. The next one up is from a band I only got into about a year. No, it's not quite even a year now, but I have one of their albums which was in my first 25 favorites, and this one is going to be in my second 25 favorites. I really like this kind of earth structure to it. It's like a planet, and you're seeing the surface of it, all the rocks and the water and everything. Kind of an eclectic thing, I guess, but such a good cover for an album, and this album is quite strong as well. There's a nice picture of the band on the back. Only 4 tracks on this album. I think it's the same as the other one I have. They only have 4 tracks as well. Anyways, really good. I will admit that green always draws me in, and there's a lot of green in this, and that draws me into an album cover quite a bit. That's number 24. And the last one, couldn't go without having another one from this group, and this one, the album again is the same. It's same. I love this band. I love a lot of their albums, but this album, like the previous one, much denser, much harder to penetrate, much harder to understand and get to like. But the album covers are really fantastic, and we're talking about Tales of the Topographical Ocean by Yes. It's a twin album, double album. Nice shot here. There's the inside, and there's the back and front of the cover. Really kind of stark, but at the same time immense. Yeah, like this album a lot. At least the art part. Even the album discs, there's 2 in here, have this kind of very colorful print out of it, and just excellent, good album. Not really one of my favorite Yes albums, but a good one, and the artwork is fantastic here. I'm going to try to get it over here a little bit more. There you go. Come up closer. Yeah. So there you go. There's my 25 more favorites, or 25 favorites of album covers. Sorry, I was drawing a blank there. 25 favorite album covers. This is part B, or 25 more favorite album covers, part B. And I could do it part C, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do 2 parts, and we'll leave it at that. Such some great stuff here. The part on this album I really like is this part, and it took me, how many times I've looked at this album and I never noticed that? It's a falls. Unbelievable. So there you go. Now I'm just going to do them backwards just so you know. This is number 25, Tales of the Topographical Ocean. 24, Wobblers. Do I remember the title? Did I even say the title of this album? Probably I didn't, because I can't remember it. Oh, Dwellers of the Deep, that's the name of this album. Sorry, my apologies for my neglect, in case there's people out there that, I like that. What's it called? I'd like to find out more about it. That's it. This is Wobblers, Dwellers of the Deep, number 24. Number 23, Van Halen's Fair Warning. I also didn't say anything about that. I talked about the art, but that's what this is. Number 22, Supertramp's Crime of the Century. Number 21, Styx's Equinox. Sorry. Number 20, Test for Echo from Rush. Number 20, that was number 20. Number 19, Riverside, their ID Identity album. And I don't think I said that one either. This one I know I did. So that was number 19. Number 18, Nectar's Time Machine. Number 17, Nazareth's Hair of the Dog. Number 16, Marillion's Clutching at Straws. Number 15, Led Zeppelin 3. Number 14, Kisses Alive. Number 13, Kansas, Point of No Return. Number 12, Jade Warrior. I can't remember. Problem with being blind is that it's permanent. Oh, Autumn's Dream, sorry. I couldn't remember the middle word. Autumn's Dream. Number 11, Iron Maiden. Number of the Beast. Next up, make sure I got these straight. Yep, we do. Jimi Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love for number 10. Number 9, Genesis self-titled album. Number 8, this won't stop moving around here. Number 8, Eloy's Colors. Number 7, Dream Theater's The Astonishing. Number 6, Dio's Holy Diver. Now the top 5 are in alphabetical order. They're not really the top 5. Deep Purple in Rock, number 5. Number 4, Blue Oyster Cult's Secret Treaties. Number 3, Black Sabbath, The Mob Rules. Number 2, BTO's BTO four-wheel drive, sorry. And number 1, or the last one on the list, Aerosmith's Draw the Line. So that was fun to do. Could have easily done, I could still do another 25 easily, but I wanted to give some attention to the artwork on albums. The first 25 are my absolute cream. These ones are also very close, very good. Some of them probably could have been on the first list if it wasn't for the fact that the group already had an album on that list. And then for those people who say, well, what about this or what about that? I'm just going to tell you there are a lot of albums I couldn't put on because you already have 50 on there. That's not a lot when you consider how much great artwork there is. And also there are some albums that I do not have, and since this is more of a visual 25 than most, because we're talking about the art of the album, I didn't want to include them if I didn't actually have them. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode of 25 more favorite album covers. And we'll be back again next week with another 25, with another favorites. So I hope you like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. We'll be doing something else next week. I've already have something in mind, and I hope that you enjoyed this. So take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.